Hello, I'm John Galante, host of the Tech Home Builder weekly webcast series, and I'm excited to be joined today by Greg Hardwick, who's president and owner of Hardwick General Consulting. And this is part of our, what we call our People You Should Know series, and Greg is certainly one of those. I think we met maybe 5-6 years ago at one of the Tech Home Builder summits, and one of the things that stands out to me, Greg, I think it was on a pub crawl tour in Austin. And when you started naming Lutron model numbers, I said, this is a way more techie builder than average. And so, I've been tracking your progress on the tech side of things ever since then. Maybe you can kick us off with just giving us a general backgrounder on Hardwick General Consulting, clients you serve, kind of homes you build, number of homes, number of employees, that sort of stuff.
Right. Well, thanks, John. No, and I've really been, I can't get enough of the Tech Home Summits and continue to go to those. And I really enjoyed, by the way, the virtual one we had not too long ago. So thanks for everything you're doing there. It is Hardwick General Contracting. We are a builder. We do luxury custom homes and renovations. We only do about 8 jobs a year. We're kind of a specialty builder where we don't do any spec. Every home is more or less a prototype specifically for that owner. And then anybody that's in remodeling understands that, there's nothing consistent across remodels other than chaos. So that's kind of what we manage. Mm-hmm. But we are working with clientele who are, I guess I would say they're on one side or the other. People who are really into technology and we know exactly what they want right off the bat. And then we have some people that aren't very interested in technology until we start introducing it, or that we start explaining how much integrated technology is in their home before they even realize, what we're talking about with programmable thermostats and stuff like that. The real baseline of what we would call home technology.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we do. We work with our
employees?
Huh?
How many employees?
I'm sorry. Yeah. So it's my wife and I and 4 other employees. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And you said you've got 8 projects a year. Some of those are new build entirely and some are remodeling. What's the split like?
It depends on the year.
Yeah.
This coming year, I would say 80% of our revenue is going to come from new homes. The other 20-25% will come from remodels, just kind of filling in.
Yeah.
And then we just kind of ride the wave on, a trend of remodeling or a trend of new homes that we get from year to year. Gotcha. Generally, what we're working on with the design process now doesn't get built until next year. So gotcha. One thing that we do, John, just real quickly, is we have a very long design development process with our owners that at minimum is probably 6 months and can last as long as a year.
Yeah. So you're the president. That can mean a lot of different things. What do you personally focus on? What do you love to do? What are you great at doing yourself?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of, migrated as the company's grown. But right now I focus mostly on the sales development and the overall design development of the home, and then hope to have that far enough along to hand off to our project management team and more or less take it from there.
Gotcha. So you've got a small team, but leadership is important no matter what the size of the company. So give me a little bit on your leadership style.
Well, I'm a product of corporate America for the first, 10 to 15 years of my career before I went out and started my own company. So I'm very systems oriented. So we have systems and processes in our small company like you would see in larger companies. But there's no politics, put it that way. So we do have morning calls and status updates like you would in a larger company, like I did when I was in a larger company. So we continue that type of thing. But other than that, as long as people are doing their jobs, we're a lot more flexible with their overall schedule and, vacation time and stuff like that. So I would say
Yeah.
I'm off hands as long as things are going well.
Gotcha. So let's, since this is Tech Home Builder, let's talk more about tech. What are you including almost always? I know every house is personalized to the owner, but what are you almost including on a standard basis on the tech side of things these days?
Yeah, the programmable thermostats, Wi-Fi enabled devices, garage doors, hot water heaters now. Lighting control is something that we build into the base price of every home that we will do, and then that will you generally stay at the minimum included price and then kind of grow from there.
Yeah.
Future proofing, John, is really kind of what we're focusing on. There's probably, I hate to say this, but there's probably a lot of baseline technology I'm not even mentioning right now, just because we've been doing it and we just include it as a standard. So if I'm overlooking some of that stuff, I apologize. But
Yeah.
our focus really for any owner is to future-proof the house as much as we can to be adaptable to any technology down the road.
Yeah. And is that about wiring runs or wiring and really robust Wi-Fi, commercial grade Wi-Fi? What else would you include for future proofing?
Yeah, well, the core of that is the wiring. So the Cat 6E, those type of things, and maybe 2 or 3 runs per room. Just depending on what the function of that room's going to be.
Yeah.
But really trying to get the wire in the walls and in a place that wired devices can interact with each other. And then if you want to integrate Wi-Fi on top of that, you can do that. But wired is our core
Gotcha.
prior to Wi-Fi.
Gotcha. And then let's talk about popular upgrades and enhancements to that core set of technologies.
Right. So with the wired, we also have distributed sound, distributed video. Even though the cats are starting to handle that a little bit better. But then the upgrade becomes the integration and kind of that fine line between standard lighting control and home automation. And so some people put that in the same bucket, but we can do lighting control very, very easily. When you start talking about home automation, that is really when we start expanding into other areas of technology. So
are you talking about then scenes and macros and
absolutely
that level versus just convenient handheld or spoken control on the lighting side of things?
Yeah,
Is that how you define the difference?
Yes, I would say that we have younger, wealthy owners who use it to control as much of their lifestyle as they want it to control. So entertainment scenes, which include not only the indoor entertainment pieces, but the pool and the pool lights and the pool fountains and the landscape lighting, the sound, what's playing, on the pool deck versus what's playing in the dining room, all
now,
those.
Are you designing the electronics systems for these home buyers, or are you working with an integrator or handing this off to an integrator? How does that work?
No, we absolutely work with an integrator because we work with a couple of different integrators. We think that the chemistry between the owner and the integrator is just as important as the chemistry between the architect and the owner. They have to, be listening to each other. One side can't be pushing one thing and overlook something that's very important to the owner. So we'll generally have them meet with 2 to 3 integrators, that are all standard integrators on our projects and would all work well on any of our projects. But it never ceases to amaze me how much chemistry where they out of the 3 integrators, they say that's the one we want to work with. And
so they're almost interviewing these
Yes.
integrators, and they're going to pick from a short list that you've put together for them.
Correct. That's exactly how we work it.
And then once they've selected the integrator, are you there for the intake process, for the discovery process on the tech set of features?
Yeah, but I'm there kind of as an observer. So, I get kind of dangerous going to Tech Home and, other conferences around there where I know what they're talking about, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But I certainly don't drive the conversation.
Yeah.
I depend on the integrator to be the specialist, and me just have a good background and overall knowledge of the overall thing. And that helps, kind of steer the conversation to where, the owner may be overcomplicating something that's a lifestyle control that they want, that, just with, being involved with, the education I get at Tech Home, I can kind of pretty easily answer that question or offer another solution in some cases that the integrator doesn't know about. And in some cases, and most of the cases when I have to get involved, it's a component that's outside your traditional bubble of what low V or integrator type functions are. A few years ago, for example, we started integrating these digital thermal valves that Kohler was putting out. And you install it, and the plumber's kind of like, well, I don't know how to turn this thing on. And the integrator's like, well, we don't do plumbing, so you have to, in a lot of cases, bridge those gaps.
You're bridging to the electrical and mechanical contract.
Correct. Yep.
Do you have any integrators who want to play that role and bridge to the other guys, or do they just want to stick to their knitting?
No, we certainly have some integrators that are open to it, but they have to be trained. They're not gonna take it on before they get trained. One of my common questions when I'm meeting with appliance manufacturers and they're doing their show and tell is, okay, I love all this technology, I love all these cameras, but who programs this when I turn this over to the client?
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, I think they all just kind of shrugged their shoulders. But now, in fact, I just asked that question last week during a presentation. And I think that the appliance companies are feeling more and more that it's much easier today for the owner to actually go in there and do some of those things on their own than the builder having to set that up for them. But you never know. It depends
I've been banging my head against the wall with the appliance guys to develop relationships with the low voltage technology integrators. They may not be the channel partner that's delivering the 1,000-pound refrigerator. Integrators tend to be not have the mass to move those things in, but somebody's got to create the network connectivity. Somebody's got to tend to the user interface, and there's nobody better to do that than the integrator. But we're at an early phase of recognition on both sides of the relationship that needs to be formed, but give it some time. I've seen this it's been an evolution for 30 years that I've been watching, right?
Right. Yeah. It is.
How did you get started with tech in your homes? I mean, how long has Hardwick been around, your business?
Well, I've been in construction since, on my own since, I've been in construction since 1992. That's when I got out with my engineering degree.
Gotcha.
Started my own company, Hardwick General Contracting, in 2004.
Okay.
So we're in our 16th year, but, almost 30 years of experience in construction.
And were you tech forward from the get-go, or did it take you a while to get into it?
Great question. We were green building from the get-go, just because of I felt like, when I learned about green building with my engineering and building science background, seemed like a natural fit. I mean, they all seemed like smart decisions as far as how you would build a home. And so in the green building realm, you really kind of start getting into monitoring and tracking and technology and programming and stuff like that. So it just kind of grew from there. LED lighting control, programmable thermostats, more technology intensive heating and ventilation equipment, so it just kind of
Gotcha.
grew from there.
Cool. So, what are you seeing on the tech feature side of things that's hot right now in the wake of the COVID pandemic? Has there been a shift in the uh, demand levels for different kinds of tech features? And if so, what's at the top of the list now?
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 homes we're doing right now. 3 out of the 4 homes we're building have dedicated theater rooms again. So we're kind of going back to this resort lifestyle, even more intensive at home for entertainment for the entire family, adults, adult guests,
Yeah.
and the kids.
Yeah.
So that's certainly a trend. Is
Yeah.
the theaters
And do
coming
you have
back?
big sound in addition to big screens there? I mean, are you doing immersive with 7.1, 9.1 Dolby Atmos as well as the big screen?
Yeah, one of our clients happens to be a e-commerce electronics guy, so he's putting all the bells and whistles in, with
Yeah.
the step floor and sound everywhere and soundproofing, concrete
Yeah.
walls, and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
The other 2 clients we're working for, they're more smaller studio type things where it's just a space to come in and have a little bit better sound, have a private viewing room, stuff like that, but not the
Gotcha.
big, 20-seat theater type
Gotcha.
of thing, more like a 5 or 6-seat theater.
Gotcha. So what else besides theaters?
The integration now of home automation with outdoor lighting. That's something that we're, and I guess that might be in the lighting control or not, but this certainly advanced scene development. The garage doors, whether you call some of the apps true geofencing or not, but having that whole scene as you approach. We have one client right now. It's a 600-foot long lot, and the gate's way out there. We're building the little, post office box or Amazon room, whatever you want to call it, for deliveries.
Yeah.
We have the keypad and video out there, but that scene starts as soon as that gate opens and they start, approaching the house, depending on who is in the house or who's not in the house.
Gotcha.
With opening that. So I would say this advanced scene presence, geofencing kind of thing is really coming along.
What about healthy home and air quality? Is that rising on the list, or have you not seen that so much?
In Florida, we're real high on the energy efficiency side. There is a demand, but not a huge, populous demand for the indoor healthy home as far as a specific request. So we certainly have air quality standards and air exchange regulations with blower door testing that we have to meet in Florida as well. But passive homes, clean air, that type of stuff really hasn't, other than people who have allergies will integrate a few things into the HVAC systems, but it's not a large part of our market.
Right. Okay.
On the demand side.
Yeah. Put your Visioneer hat on for a second. I mean, what would you like to be offering 5 years from now, mid-decade, on the tech side of things? I mean, are there any things that you're like, we should have X, Y, or Z, but it's not quite cooked yet? Or why haven't they done this yet?
Yeah.
You're an engineer, but what kind of engineer are you by training?
Well, my background is civil structural engineer. Yeah, so that's why I'm in construction. I love it. So I'm not an electrical engineer, an electronic engineer, but certainly I think to the degree that we can, and I say this living in a 4,000 square foot home with your mom and dad and a son and a daughter and 2 dogs. I never, in programming what I have today in my home, and I have limited programming capabilities in my home that I experiment with all the time. Voice activation, I think, is definitely something that's going to be with us for a very long time and will continue to develop. But it's that personal thing that we're talking about. I can only program my house to basically my needs, and everybody has to kind of fit in my bubble, at least at this point. And so I think that the more we can control room temperatures by room, by who's in the room, lighting by room, by who's in the room,
Yeah.
sound that you're listening to by room, by who's
Yeah.
in the room, and those type of things. If I think we can, and I know that we're in the infancy of that. I know that it's being developed, but
Yeah.
getting that more standardized where it knows me walking through the house, it knows my son walking through the house,
Yeah.
knows my daughter, in
Yeah.
a secure way, whatever.
Yeah.
But the programming and the technology, that you put in that
Yeah.
home is individualized as much
Yeah.
as possible.
And we've been talking about that for 20 years,
Yeah.
but it's always been a kludge, right? And it's like,
Mhm.
it's never quite there, but we do have the ingredients to make it work now with AI and just the ubiquity of the technologies. But so you're telling me that men and women want rooms to be different temperatures?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Yep.
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's
a
why they
challenge we're
invented
never
the
going to
blanket.
overcome, is
So,
getting the right temperature for both the guy and the gal in the room.
that's right. Well, they're doing it in cars, right? I know the driver can have one temperature, the passenger can have another, so
That's true. That's
maybe
true.
we can do that. So
Yeah. Very good. Well, I know you've got another thing to run to. This has been a great overview on your company and how seriously you take tech. And I follow your LinkedIn feed. You're doing a great job on your social media, and I know you guys are winning awards like crazy, and you're very active in industry. But you're certainly someone people should know in the tech home community. And I want to thank you so much for your time today, Greg. And we'll look forward to seeing you in person soon.
great. Thanks, John. Yeah, anything I can do to help, I'm here. So appreciate it.
Very good. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.